Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 248 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today, I welcome back a close collaborator who was on the show last year, Soma79. Soma79 and I have been working on a project called Zero for the Day for about a year and a half since we first talked. So it's great to have them back on the show. We discussed that album, kind of the process that went into creating it, and how we're really both excited to put it out there in the world here, hopefully in 2025. We did the song Idiot Stew last summer. We have a lot more coming from that project. And we also had the chance to discuss one Bill Trill, Soma79's other project, which I'm happy to have produced on. They told me the story behind that, kind of what went into that, and really the parallels between the recording sessions from Zero for the Day and One Bill Trill, how they kind of blended into one another over the course of last year. And they definitely went over some very in-depth stories about some of the songs and the visualizers for those songs as well, and kind of the ideas that sparked from the creative process, which I think is super awesome. And definitely be sure to check out the visuals that were mentioned in this episode as well, because they all should be out by the time this episode drops. And Soma79 also let me know about the shows that they have coming up very soon, and just what they're excited about for the rest of the year. And like I said, I'm very thrilled for our collaboration album Zero for the Day that's going to be coming real soon. Excited to see what they do with their podcasts. 3 new podcasts coming out from Soma79 as well. So again, thank you to them for stopping by again. Always welcome back. Always love our conversations. And without further ado, let's get into this one. Welcome everyone to episode 248 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today we have another returning guest, and I did some math. I think this is the quickest we've ever had a returning guest on the show. It's usually 2 years that I wait to get a person back on the show, but I figured there was no better person to have back early than Soma79. How you doing today?
I'm very honored. Thank you very much. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man. Got plenty to talk about.
Absolutely, and I thought that was why it was perfect to have you back on. And again, that's just kind of rough math. I didn't really check that out, but I'm pretty sure this is the soonest, because you were on here last year around this time, because I had been on your show at the end of 2023, and then we had you on this show. So happy to have you back on, and we usually just have just give a reintroduction. I mean, people might not have heard that first episode. They might not be familiar with you and what you do. So just kind of give a brief reintroduction for those that might not know.
Yeah. Soma79. I'm an artist of all sort of different media. Right now, I do physical art. I do drawings and all that stuff. But right now, I'm focusing mostly on my music. So hip-hop. I'm a rapper. I do all my own music videos. I do all my own album art. And I got a bunch of albums coming out this year. I got a solo album, One Bill Trill, that is, at the time this is released, it'll be streaming everywhere, which I'm super proud of. Got a couple of videos for that. So, I'm from the Western Mass area. So if you're out there, hit me up, because we're doing stuff here.
Yeah, awesome. And I know that you have a lot of music coming up. And obviously, I don't know if when we did this first episode, if we were even working on our project yet.
That's when I may have brought it up, because I remember saying that I was looking to do a project where a producer just gives me all the beats and I'll just record from one end to the other, which isn't ultimately what happened, but it's where we started. And
Yeah, so that's crazy right there in general. And I guess we'll just start from there with Zero for the Day, because we've been working on it now for about a year, and I'm definitely excited for everyone to get to check it out. I know you are too. So I asked this to Tommy G, who's another artist I've been working with. I asked him this on our podcast when I had him back on the show, And I want to know, like, what was your experience, or what has been your experience working on this project, from the writing standpoint, from doing the artwork and the overall concept of the whole body of work. Like, what has it been like for you to just kind of, craft it and build it from what we started with?
First off, I'm gonna give you your props because, like, for me, I don't do this stuff just to have the music done. It has to be a good experience. It has to be working with people that are fun and smart and that I like, that are easy to work with. And that was exactly you. I mean, I got that impression from talking to you the first time that we did it, and I was like, this dude seems like a pretty, chill dude to work with, and like that had a lot to do with it. Like, I hate putting up. If I get the first sense that somebody's an asshole, I'm pretty much done.
Yeah.
Like I can't bring that stress into my life.
Yeah.
So people like you just make me love hip hop and love music more, and just make me want to put more effort into this. So thank you very much for that, man. I appreciate it.
No problem at all.
You also, like, the beat. What was special about this album is that I what did we start with? I can't even remember. Was Zero for the Day the first song? Because that was the title that I had.
Yeah.
That's the title that we had back then. Because I remember teachers always saying, I'm going to give you 0 for the day. And I was like, well, what do I get all the other days? Like, it was one of those empty threats that made no sense.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like always amused me. So I started off from that concept, and then we just sort of built from there. And the album sort of has a lot of different themes to it. Like, it goes all over the place, has a couple, I think, really cool guest appearances on it. It was a really fun experience because so much of what I have coming out this year is stuff that I worked on in the past few years with a lot of different artists and their collaborations. This was pretty much just a very personal album that we crafted together around kind of like dumb jokes and going in all these different directions. And the way that you produced it, your beats have this cohesive sound that, like, it feels like you the entire way through. And there are times where I almost feel bad that I'm taking the writing in so many different directions because I feel like your beats work on such a cohesive level,
Yeah.
But
I think it's been interesting to see how it's kind of evolved. I almost feel like there's different stages of the album, and we kind of went through creating it at different levels. Because like you said, I think you started with 0 for the Day, and then the Young Hump track was in there at the beginning. I remember that. And then we've kind of just worked from there. And like over the summertime, last summer, and into the fall, and into even the last couple of months, we've just kind of been building more new tracks and just kind of evolving it from where it was in the beginning stages.
Yeah, and this album started my relationship with Young Hump, who I now have an EP coming out with. We're going to try to get you on that too, on a remix or something. But like, it's... that was where that started, and that's been an incredible relationship for me, just from a personal and professional level.
Yeah, so it is great to see like how it's evolved and like where it's taken both of us as well. And like I said, I'm excited. I know you're excited to finally put it out soon. And it's going to be really cool to see where it goes. And thank you, again, for even giving me the opportunity to be a part of it. So.
We hadn't really talked about this. We have a video for Idiot Stew that that was a song that I was starting to perform live, and I plan on performing that actually at an upcoming show I'm doing, opening for Cool Keith on April Fool's Day in East Hampton, Massachusetts, daily operations. But I want to do some more videos for that album. We hadn't really talked about what songs to do. Like, I think I might do one for that song I wrote recently, What a Fine Time to Be Non-Binary. Yeah. Because I'm non-binary, and obviously, we're in a weird place in the world right now, and according to the federal government, my gender no longer exists. So, maybe I'll make a video about that. But what about you? What video do you think? What song do you think on that album deserves a video?
Yeah, I definitely think 0 for the Day itself definitely should get something because it is the title track, and it kind of like embodies overall what the whole arcing theme of the project is as well. And I always thought, because like you said, the concept is very unique. Like, I don't think anybody's done a song. Maybe they've touched on it in a song, but I don't think anybody's done a song like that, honestly. But I think people could really relate to that one because a lot of people have had like bad experiences in school in general. I know my experiences in school weren't that great either. I wasn't like, I don't think I got in like a ton of like shit from teachers, but it definitely just wasn't like an enjoyable experience all the time. So I feel like people could relate to the story that you told on that and really just what it's all about. So I always thought like
the
doing
bars
something
that I
with
say
like
at the beginning of the second verse, where the history teacher in high school made me stand in the corner because I couldn't shut my mouth up after 5 or 6 warnings, but he let me he something, but he let me off because he paid me to do some shady shit. That was like a true story where like I did work for one of my teachers who was a landscaping company, but in hindsight, some of the stuff he had us do was a little like, I'm gonna check the statute of limitations on that.
Yeah.
But like it's the type of stuff that they never let you do in high school. Now the guy actually took us to Europe on a school trip. I wouldn't let this guy now take me to the drugstore to like buy a Band-Aid to save my life.
Yeah.
Like or especially if it was my kids. But yeah, I remember this teacher made me stand in the corner because we were talking about the play Aida, a musical, and the dude behind me, Mike Sullivan, the funniest kid I ever met in my life, Six Gun Sully, said, "I ate a Twinkie." And like, I don't know why, but I just couldn't stop laughing. And he made me stand in the corner. And then I'm like, well, you got me doing some weird stuff. I was obvious. I was at school, so like I think this is not gonna last very long.
And I don't know like what direction you'd end up taking the video, but I feel like even playing out some of those concepts or reenacting some of those would be quite interesting. So
I like that.
Yeah.
What I need is one of those like L-shaped desk chair things that like we had back in the day. Like I feel like that's gonna be. I gotta see if I can track one of those now.
Yeah.
Because one of the things too that like I've been talking about with people is that when it comes to creating stuff, like Kevin Smith didn't grow up dreaming about making a movie about a convenience store. He grew up and wanted to make a movie and looked around him and saw a convenience store. And like that's like if you have that sort of focus on your art, you can get so much more done by looking around you going, what can I use that I have? So it's not always like I gotta save this money to get this or So maybe I'm just justifying my own semi-hoarding, but so much of this stuff. Like I just got a box of family videos on 8mm from the 50s. I have to get a projector to do, but I'm going to do something with that. That's going to be in an upcoming music video. I don't even know what's on those yet, but there's a lot of them. So there's at least a few minutes worth of good stuff.
Yeah. Just putting like the unique things, like you said, the things that are like there that nobody else would think about or things that people overlook even. Like utilizing those to your advantage is a big thing. It'll be interesting to see like what concepts will come from all the ideas that we have for that project as well.
You heard that here, Zero for the Day video. That's coming.
Yeah, well, we're putting it out there in the world right now. So there we go. And I definitely want to...
That's a second music video I've committed to today.
Yeah.
I have another one I'm working on with Katie Newton that's going to be really cool.
For sure. And I definitely want to talk about One Bill Trill, another album that, again, I'm happy to be a part of. I have, I think, 3 songs on there that I contributed to as well, so thank you for that. But talk about One Bill Trill, because it's been out for a bit on Bandcamp. It's going to be on all platforms here in February. So, like, what's the story behind that project and, like, kind of what went into making that one?
Just the last thing I reserved for the day. I think that'll come out this year. It's pretty much done. It's just I'm trying to release some. I have a few songs with some artists and just kind of like bigger name artists. Actually, I have a Cool Keith and Esoteric song coming out, so I'm trying to like see what those songs do and then decide the right time to release it because I want the most people to hear that album. I'm so freaking proud of it. So, One Bill Trill, that album came about because it's funny. I just mentioned those collaborations. Every other album I had were held up by collaborations with other artists, like artists that had committed to getting something to me and then just didn't do it or took a long time or just some were nice about it, some were not so nice about it. But I was like, I need to release something. So I just hit up all the producers I've been working with and just said, send me whatever you got, and we did that really fast. I think you sent me those beats and I recorded all to them like over a weekend.
Yeah, I feel like that was probably in July maybe or August, somewhere in there. Yeah. So because I definitely remember sending those like all in a batch, and those might have been the only 3 I sent, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Yeah.
So,
that album came together was a real slice of my life. Like it was coming together right at the end of like a 4-year relationship, and then I kind of immediately started dating somebody else. And that stuff is kind of, if you know where to look for it, it's definitely in the album. I mean, the Please Shut Me Up. By the time this is on Valentine's Day of 2025, the video is coming out for the song Please Shut Me Up, which is sort of about the person I started dating right after I was single, and it was just kind of I talk about a little bit on the interview that I did for my album release on my page, so I don't want to tell the whole story again here. But like the song all poured out of me in like one day after the first time we hung out, and then it was like no other song I'd ever written. Like didn't even fit on the page the way other stuff does. It was really stream of consciousness and stuff, and I didn't even know I was going to share it with people, but she really liked it. And then, by the time the album was done, my relationship with her was over. Like, we're still our friends, but like we're not dating anymore. And so when I asked my producer what videos we should do, he's like, we got to do that one. And I'm like, dude, that's a emotional minefield. Like I haven't listened to that song in like months, but I ended up trying to challenge myself to say, okay, well, how do I kind of take the meaning back on this? So I did something that happened in my life that was like, it was a beautiful moment in my life, and it was awesome. I wouldn't trade it for anything. She's a wonderful person. And I captured that in a song exactly how I wanted to. But it doesn't mean the same as it does now. 2 months have passed, and it's just that it has this other thing over it. So how do we switch it up? So the idea for the video was, it was almost going to be like, what happens after the song. Like I don't want to put a song out that's like a video that's hot and steamy. I'm sort of past that at my point. Like it's not what I need on my reel. So like I'm like, what do we do that's like after that? And it's the idea of, well, now that's over. Like what's next for me? And so I shot it all in the house that you see here now. And I had an actress who basically plays like a ghost to some degree. Like she kind of phases in and out, but like, and I don't really know that she's there, but I sort of know something's there. And the actress, she asked to stay anonymous, but she did an absolutely amazing job. And I hope you guys check that out. Please shut me up. It's probably one of the songs I'm most proud of. And there's only been a few times in my life where a song has fallen out of my head like that. That was one of them.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick minute out to let you know about a couple different ways that you can support the podcast. One of the ways is by clicking that support the podcast button within your streaming platform. That is if you want to be a monthly supporter of the show. You can contribute either 99 cents, $5, or $10 a month. So that's the first way, and that's the more traditional way that we've had now for the last couple years. The other method that we actually just recently introduced is from our good friends over at Ko-fi. Ko-fi is a virtual tip jar. We have set our limit to a minimum of $10, but you can go make one-time, one-off donations. So if you visit ko-fi.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast, you'll be able to donate. And all these different forms of donation go towards getting new guests every single week, getting potential sponsors on board to do giveaways, and overall just making the show better for you guys. So if you want to do that Ko-fi link, it's ko-fi.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Otherwise, again, look for that support the podcast button in your streaming platform if you'd like to be a monthly supporter. And I just want to say thank you guys for your contributions. And without further ado, let's get back into the episode. For sure. And I think you sent me the video like not too far after you put it all together to like get my opinion on it as well. So I was happy to get to see it early too. And I thought the same thing. I thought it was very incredible. And just the take that you did on it, because like you said, you could have took that concept in a few different directions. But I thought the uniqueness of the way that you took it stood out a lot. So I think that was super, super cool. And it
was also a healing process for me, because by the time that was done, that song didn't bother me anymore, and it had a whole new meaning. And it did what art's supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder, this isn't even a question I have on my list, but I wonder, because you said that, while you were recording a lot of Zero for the Day, it felt very personal to you. I almost wonder if that kind of spilled over into the One Bill Trill sessions as well, like the type of songs that were coming out, and it kind of just carried over through both projects. Do you kind of feel the same?
I never really put my personal life into my music, and I think that's something that really held it back. And on on Quiet Loud Friends, like the first album I put in years, which came out a year or two ago, I still didn't do that. And I was like, next time, that's where we got to go.
Yeah.
Like this, I have to start grounding stuff. And so, yeah, it was definitely a conscious decision that like to start putting myself a little more in there. And, I got more comfortable just by doing the podcast I did for almost 2 years. I got more comfortable being myself in public.
Yeah.
And that made me as a rapper more comfortable being myself in public.
Yeah. And I know for sure none of that is easy to do. So I can imagine it's definitely something you gotta get work up towards. But I commend you for that, for being able to do that.
It's funny. I have this mentality that I have with even when I go to perform is that like I remember I was with a fellow rapper. We were in Texas performing a show, and he's like, I'm so nervous. Why aren't you nervous? And I'm like, well, this is what I do. I don't get nervous at all, like not a little bit, until the moment between when I step on stage and when I grab the mic, and then I immediately go, wait a minute, why didn't I get why I didn't panic? Why didn't I panic? If I panicked, would have been more prepared. And I get super nervous for that time. Then as soon as I start rapping, it all goes away.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just if you do this stuff enough, you shouldn't have to get nervous. You shouldn't have to,
It's like building that muscle memory a little bit every single time. It just gets a little bit easier. I definitely feel that. And speaking of podcasting, because you just mentioned, you had a show initially, and you're actually starting, I think you said 2 new shows. 3 new shows. Yeah. So tell us about those. What are we kind of in store for on kind of the next journey for you on the podcasting side?
So I have 3 shows, and I'm not going to be committing to doing these on the same weekly schedule as I had, because that was just preventing me from doing so many other things. Mm-hmm. But the first one that's coming out is called Personal Problems with Soma79 and Katie Newton. Katie Newton's been a guest. She's the one that interviewed me for about my album on my own site. I've done a few podcasts with her. She's an art therapist and a upcycle fashion designer from Indianapolis, and she's just an incredibly smart, amazing person. So we're going to do like a Dr. Drew type, Fraser Crane type show where we're just taking people's personal problems. We're going to try to help them out. I'm somebody who a lot of people have come to with their problems, and I have no problem like talking about mine. And I think it's a big part of mental health, and Katie's way better at it than me. So we're just going to be taking people's questions and just answering them. I want to take I want to take phone calls at some point. Right now, it's going to do write-ins. But if you go to soma79.com/personal problems, fill out the form. We're going to be recording the first episode. Hopefully, should be out by the time this airs. But we'll see. So I'm very excited about that. I grew up loving Frasier and Loveline to me with Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew, who I'm not as big of a fan of now, these guys, but that was my ticket to the outside world. I grew up in a very small area, didn't have cable, didn't have internet, any of this stuff. All I had to the outside world was stuff like that that came through my radio. So
yeah, so being able to give that idea to a lot more people too is kind of interesting, and kind of reinventing it in your own way. And like I said, when I saw that podcast you guys did a few weeks ago, I thought the idea sounded incredible. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. And what are the other 2 shows then that you have in mind? Because I don't think I've heard about the other 2.
So the other 2, I can't say as much about them because both of them have the goal of working as a partnership with other organizations that I'm approaching. Whereas these are going to be instances where instead of trying to leverage my own reach, there's 2 media organizations who I feel that I can offer a compelling package to do limited series podcasts that would cost them virtually nothing, or possibly even nothing, that I would produce on my own and give them content that would be free to them. And I think at this point we're making high quality content, so I'm confident to say it's high quality content that'll be free to them, that I could therefore leverage, get my name out there, because that's really the thing that like we're all struggling with, is getting our name out there. And so I'm trying to find ways that I can. One of the lessons I learned through my podcast, these relationships, they turn into things if you invest in them and spend time getting to know people and talking to them. And I'm ready to kind of take this to the next level. So one of them is going to be pro wrestling related. It's going to be pro wrestling and hip hop related. And I'll mention I'm doing that with my man 3SK, who's an amazing battle rapper out of the New England area. Check him out. Stone Cold Steve Boston, we call him, because he drops all these 90s and 80s wrestling bars. But so that's all I really can say about that now, because we haven't. I'm about to do the write up for the first episode, and then we're going to tape a few. Then I'm going to approach the company about that, and the media company I have in mind for that, and see what they say. If they're interested, I'll release them myself.
Yeah.
And the other one is music related. This one, I had this book that a company put. I don't want to name the place yet, but like I had this guide back when I was a kid about a certain type of music, and it listed at the end the top 100 albums of that type of music. And that book introduced me to so much stuff that really opened my mind. And what I did is I went and collected the vinyl of all 100 of those albums over the course of the past few months. So I have them all in the other room, and I got all 100 of them. And I want to do, that's all I want to say about it. I'm going to do a podcast that does something with that on my journey to making my first non-hip-hop album. Because that's sort of what this is about me kind of revisiting the roots of what I grew up with, filling in some holes, and kind of taking myself creatively in a non-hip-hop direction for the first time.
Mm.
So if the organization, the media company there they're recently having a resurgence, and I'm hoping this is something they're interested in, because I think it costs them nothing and hopefully pays off.
Yeah.
And then, I'm doing it either way. Because if they don't want to do it, I have some other people in mind, but I'm excited about it. It's
Yeah. And just like the other show, I think both shows are super unique too. And I know that people are definitely going to enjoy them. If you're ever looking for guests for that wrestling one, though, my buddy Jay, my artist Jay Trey, I'm telling you, he would love to be on that show, because he's a rapper and he's a huge wrestling guy.
I'll play the details offline, because that sounds perfect.
Okay, for sure.
And actually, the other one I definitely want to have you on. I'll tell you about that one a little bit.
Okay.
When we're offline.
Yeah.
It'll be cool.
Awesome. Definitely down for that. And is there anything else in 2025, or just anything coming up that you're, super thrilled to be a part of? Anything you're working on that, you want to reveal?
Yeah, actually, well, I was working on this before we signed on. I'll be working on it after. This will probably be out around the same time. I don't know the dates, but right now I'm pegging 3/15, the day between Pi Day and Stone Cold Steve Austin Day, is going to be the drop of my single for Doomsday for a Man of Steel, which is a song I have with my man Aztec from Hybrid Thoughts, Esoteric from Czarface, and the legendary Kool Keith. I've recorded this song a couple years ago. I always wanted to make a really cool video for it, and I wasn't really at a place yet where I thought I could do that. But I had this concept of doing a video with puppets, because I was very inspired by the Muppets when I was a kid. And that's, I'm talking about it now like it's already out, because it probably will be while we're doing this, but I'm literally working on it right now. And it's been super exciting. I've been cognizant of the fact that when I release something under my own name, it only goes to a limited audience. I mean, that's just the way it is. We're all fighting for space. But when you've worked with an established artist, you know that you can expect at least a few more people to see it, and so this is, to me, I feel like I want to earn those people's time. I want it so that when Esoteric or Kool Keith maybe share it out, it's something they're proud of. So that's the goal that I'm really working towards, is making sure this is a product that these people, that I'm happy with, that they'd be happy with. I'm trying to up my game a little bit here.
And it's great. That's something great to strive for as well, and just keep kind of elevating in every little step that you go on with that. But I'm excited to see it, and if anybody's listening to this, obviously definitely go check that out, because like we said, it'll probably be out around the time that this episode drops. And
unfortunately enough, Kool Keith is coming. I live in the middle of nowhere. Kool Keith is coming 20 minutes away from me on April Fool's Day, so don't think I'm not questioning whether he's showing up or not, but like, it's a Tuesday in East Hampton at Daily Operations, and I have the pleasure of opening for Kool Keith. I'm doing like a 15-minute set, so it's just a quick thing. But my first Massachusetts show in 15 years, and probably my first Massachusetts public show in maybe about that time. I think I've done a private show since then, but so I'm excited.
For sure. And is there any other shows that are coming up, maybe like this summer, spring, anything you know of that you're going to be doing?
No, I still, like, if you look on I know this is an audio, but you can see on my arm, I have all these tattoos of leaves. Every time I visit a new state, I get a new leaf tattoo. And I'm getting 4 more this week. I'm getting tattoos on Friday. I'm getting 4 more this week. And I'll be past half the states. So now I'm sort of looking at the states that are left. Never been to your state, man, but I have been watching a lot of these true crime documentaries lately, and there's a lot of creepy shit happening in Ohio. So I have to talk to you about that.
There always is. There always is, I think. So.
It's like when it's Massachusetts, I get excited. I'm like, it's hometown, baby. But I'm just gonna try to look. What I thought about doing is just trying to find corners of the country where it'll be easy for me to take like maybe 4 days and hit up a few states. But it's tough because the ones that are left are the ones that are really long to drive across. But like, I gotta look where you are in Ohio. But I'm thinking of doing like, I'm gonna go out and see Katie Newton at some point in Indiana, then maybe dip down to. I want to go to OVW wrestling in Kentucky, so I thought I might do that on one trip. And I want to do Michigan. I want to go to. I'm gonna go to St. Paul and then jump over to Wisconsin. So I want to be booking. I want to book a show in St. Paul or Minneapolis. Love to do one in Ohio. Love to do one in Detroit. I got a friend in Detroit I want to go visit. And I got some songs with Elza, my favorite rapper of all time, who's from Detroit up there. So, you know, if he ever does a show out there again, I'll probably jet out and see that. But, you know, it's I just want to go where I haven't been, and which, to be honest, like, you know, I mentioned too the non-binary thing. A lot of these states that I haven't been to are their states that may not be so welcome to that. So like I'm sort of thinking about, as we move forward, what that really means. Like on the other hand, there's a part of me that feels that a lot of the reason why we're in the situation we're in is due to a lack of understanding of people that we perceive as different from us. And I'd even found in my YouTube watching to start watching these videos where these guys go to like different areas of the country and just walk through, talk to locals, and tell you what it's really like. And you know, it might sound basic, but it can be a little enlightening sometimes. So I'm kind of, you know, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how things develop or devolve or dissolve. Or,
Well, I definitely am hoping for the best in that area as well. And again, if and when you do make it out here, just let me know, because I'd be down to, you know, see the show or whatever it consists of. I'm definitely down to support.
What's the closest major city you're near?
Major city is probably Cleveland, because I wouldn't really consider Akron a major city. It's more of like an in-between. I mean, they have like some venues. Even Canton, where I'm like 20 minutes from Canton, they have a couple venues, but it's not like a major city.
How far from Columbus are you?
Like 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's where copyright is, and I gotta make it up there.
Yeah, I'm pretty far from Columbus and Cincinnati and Dayton and Toledo. I'm more just northeast. So Cleveland is really the closest because it's only like an hour away.
The one, to be honest, is the one I hear the best about too. That's the one that people are like, if you're gonna go to Ohio, that's the one city. That's the city to really check out. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame might be cool.
Yeah, I finally got to go there 4 years ago, and it's definitely awesome. So I would highly recommend definitely checking that out if you can. But again,
too, if you're up by the way, Basketball Hall of Fame's amazing. I went to something there last year. Ice Cube was there. Because he has his own basketball league. They're giving him like a little like area to like permanent display there. He was interviewing, I think her name was Nancy Lieberman, who was a WNBA coach. It was an amazing experience. He was 20 feet away from us. His son was there. They were all so kind to everybody. And it's really cool that a lot of these museums, like, they're really doing a lot now to try to invest the younger generation. They've understood that the older generation has aged out, and they're doing more to really pull people in. And they're competing like everybody else for space. So definitely keep an eye on what your local organizations, museums are doing. A lot of them are doing really cool things that aren't always that expensive, that bring in really awesome artists.
Yeah.
You know? Mass Mocha in North Adams, the Roots play out there, Tune Yards plays out there. So just, you know.
Yeah, it's great to see what people are doing, like you said, for the next generation. So that's really awesome.
Can I put you over for a minute, actually? Your album, man, after I listened to your album, I was like, I want to just sit down and write to this from beginning to end. Like, it gave me such a warm feeling off the vinyl. Like, it belonged on vinyl. Like, it's a really excellent, remarkable album that I think people should check out. And like, I was like, man, some weekend I might just like send you 10 files of like songs I recorded over there. I'm like, sorry.
No, I'm 100% okay with that, and I'm glad that you liked the album, and obviously you contributed to making that vinyl happen. So you got to thank yourself a little bit for that, because without you, I don't think it would have got to the finish line. But yeah, I mean, I really just made it for that reason, for just people to kind of chill to, reflect on life about, and that was pretty much the thought I had for it. And
how's the experience been?
Of the vinyl? doing all that. It's been really cool. I actually just went to a shop in Massillon a couple of days. Massillon's like half an hour away from where I live. I know one of the record store owners. She owns a store called Erie Street Vinyl, and I ended up giving her a couple copies as well. And she's helping me out with the Women's Appreciation Month. She's going to be doing a highlight for that in March. So we've been kind of connected for a little bit, but yeah, I was telling her about the experience, and she was congratulating me and all that stuff. And I've had a lot of other people support too, which is really nice. So it's been crazy, and obviously that I ran into some roadblocks, but I think it was worth it to do it, and I'm happy I did it. So, will I do it again? I don't know, but I think it's good to do it once and just say, you went for it and were able to do it. So it has been very fulfilling. So
yeah, it looks amazing, man, and it's a great. I want to figure out too how to get stuff on Discogs. So maybe once because I want to get my stuff on there, then I'll show you how to get, because I scan my whole collection in, and like I want to be able to scan your record in. I just figure out how to do that. So that's one of my next to-do list things. So once I figure it out, I'll let you know.
Definitely, yeah. Keep me posted on that for sure. And is there anything you want to let people know about before we get out of here?
This is something I talked about on that other interview with Katie, and this is sort of one of the goals of this year. I usually make a lot of New Year's resolutions. I stick with most of them. Did so this year, but I realized there's an overarching theme to mine this year, and it is about the loneliness epidemic. And I'm sure a lot of you might have heard that term thrown along the media, or if you haven't, basically it just describes where a lot of us are at right now, where we're somehow more connected than ever, but also somehow tremendously lonely and feeling in our own places. I'll be honest, I don't feel very lonely right now. I've this is something I've been working on a lot the past few years, and after having that feeling for a long time, I started finding community out here, and it's really been remarkable, and my life has changed, and I'm super happy. But I just need to keep that going, and I feel like the efforts I've made to reach out to people have really come back to me tenfold, creatively and personally and emotionally and mentally. And I just want to make that a theme of this year, that this is the time for us to come together. I mean, I'm not saying that in a corny way, like we're going to solve our problems by coming together. But this is a time for us to commiserate together. It's a time to lick our own wounds and be a community and try to figure out what's next. So we need to tackle loneliness. And if you're feeling lonely, it is plenty okay to say that. It's plenty okay to call me. I don't care. Hit me up. It doesn't have to be through personal problems. It's Soma79 everywhere. I'll talk to anybody. And I talk to this cat most of the time, Chloe, who, you can see.
Yeah.
But that's a big theme this year. And it's a lot of the best things that came out of the work I've done the past few years are the relationships that I've made. And it's jumping in, not knowing where things are going to land, and realizing it's the people you meet along the way that really bring your life together and tie things. So this year, I'm trying to double and triple down on that. The podcasts I mentioned involve, most of them involve other people, and they all have the room to fit in some more well-known artists. I'm hoping that if I can make these connections with the media companies I want to, then I can get some bigger name guests on there, and we can really kick this stuff up to the next level.
Yeah.
And something I hope everybody I've been working with wants to come along with me, because that's my goal for the next few years, is start gradually take this up a notch, keep testing our boundaries and see how far we can push, and work with good people and just have a good time doing this. And just make sure that none of us are feeling alone, and then if we are, we can go to each other.
Yeah. We can always do more together, and I'd say the bigger and grander the community gets, the better it's going to get. So I got to commend you for that again, and thanks again for taking time out. And thanks. Like I said, you're always welcome to come back anytime. So I'm happy to have you. Thanks, guys, for listening today. That was episode 248. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit that support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds. And feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. And as always, be sure to tune in every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, on twitch.tv/AnthonyChurch24 for more in-depth and exclusive content. But until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks as always for listening.